This isn't about acquiring an ace. This isn't a blockbuster trade that will shift the balance of power in the AL East. The news of Taijuan Walker being DFA'd by the Philadelphia Phillies and the subsequent whispers connecting him to Toronto is about one thing and one thing only: survival. It's a move born from sheer, unadulterated necessity, a direct consequence of a starting rotation that has been systematically dismantled by injury. Let's start with the most critical piece of this puzzle: the money. When a player is designated for assignment while on a guaranteed contract, the original team is on the hook for the remainder of that salary. In Walker's case, the Phillies are eating the approximately $18 million he is owed for the 2026 season. This means any team, including the Blue Jays, can sign him for the prorated league minimum salary, which is a financial rounding error for a major league club. For a front office led by Ross Atkins, which is always conscious of payroll and the competitive balance tax threshold, this represents the absolute lowest risk acquisition possible. It's a free lottery ticket, and right now, the Blue Jays are desperate enough to play any game they can. The 40-man roster situation is also surprisingly fluid, with Bowden Francis already on the 60-day injured list following his Tommy John surgery, and Cody Ponce now unfortunately joining him after a season-ending ACL injury. The Jays have the flexibility. Moving a player to the 60-day IL opens up a 40-man roster spot, meaning Toronto wouldn't need to make a difficult corresponding move like designating a prospect. The pathway is clear. The financial cost is negligible. The only question remaining is if the potential reward outweighs the obvious on-field risk. And the risk is indeed obvious. A 9.0 plus ERA through 5 starts is a glaring red flag you can see from the top of the CN Tower. No one is looking at Walker's 2026 performance and seeing a solution. But the Blue Jays aren't looking for a 2026 solution. They're looking for a May and June bridge. They are trying to patch a catastrophic hole in the hull of their ship long enough to stay afloat until the real reinforcements arrive. Let's quantify just how dire the situation has become. This isn't just one or two guys going down. This is a systemic failure of health that has crippled the team's most important asset. José Berríos, with a stress fracture in his pitching elbow, is the biggest blow. He's the innings eater, the model of consistency, the guy John Schneider counts on to go 6+ innings every 5th day to save the bullpen. His absence creates a ripple effect that taxes every other arm on the staff. While the team is hopeful for an early to mid-May return, stress fractures are notoriously unpredictable. Then there's Shane Bieber. The marquee trade acquisition, brought in to be a legitimate 1B to Kevin Gausman's 1A. Elbow inflammation has him sidelined until at least late May, and anytime you hear pitcher and elbow inflammation, you hold your breath. The upside is immense, but the immediate contribution is zero. Add to that the prospects. Trey Yesovich, the hard-throwing righty who looked poised to make an impact, is dealing with a shoulder impingement. The timeline says late April or early May, but shoulder issues for power pitchers are a major concern. The organization will be exceptionally cautious. Bowden Francis and Cody Ponce were supposed to be the depth, the swingmen, the guys who could give you a spot start or long relief. They are now gone for the year. What you're left with is Kevin Gausman, Chris Bassett, Yusei Kikuchi, and a massive rotating question mark for the 4th and 5th spots in the rotation. The bullpen, with high-leverage arms like Jordan Romano and Yimi Garcia, is already feeling the strain of having to cover more innings than designed. This isn't sustainable through August, let alone through May. So who is Taijuan Walker really? Is he the pitcher with the ugly 2026 stat line? Or is he the guy who was a National League All-Star for the Mets just a few seasons ago in 2022? The truth, as always, is likely somewhere in between. In that All-Star season, Walker posted a 3.49 ERA and a 1.19 WHIP. He did it by commanding his fastball and effectively deploying a devastating splitter that generated swings and misses. Reports out of Philadelphia this spring indicated a slight dip in velocity, and more importantly, a loss of feel for that signature splitter. His FIP, fielding independent pitching, was still significantly lower than his ERA, suggesting he was the victim of some poor defense and bad luck on balls in play, BIP, but the underlying metrics were not encouraging. This is where Blue Jays pitching coach Pete Walker comes in. He has a well-earned reputation for helping pitchers rediscover their mechanics and optimize their arsenal. Could a change of scenery and a new voice unlock the 2022 version of Taijuan Walker? It's possible. The goal wouldn't be to turn him back into an all-star. The goal would be to get him to a point where he can be a serviceable number 5 starter. The mandate would be simple. Give us 5 innings, allow 3 or 4 runs, and keep us in the game. A quality start would be a massive bonus. His job would be to be an innings eater, to absorb damage and prevent Schneider from having to burn through his entire bullpen by the 7th inning of a game. Gaussman isn't pitching. If the Jays don't pursue Walker, what are the alternatives? The trade market in April is a wasteland for buyers. Any team willing to part with a controllable starting pitcher right now would demand an exorbitant package of prospects in return. Ross Atkins would likely have to part with a top 100 talent like Ricky Tiedemann, and that's simply not going to happen for a rental arm to plug a temporary gap. The cost is too high. The internal options are also thin. The depth at AAA Buffalo has already been tested. While there are arms in the system, are any of them ready to be thrown into the fire of an AL East race with the expectation of providing consistent innings? It's a massive developmental risk for any prospect not named Tiedemann, and even he has had his own injury concerns and is still being carefully managed. Promoting someone before they are ready can do long-term damage to their confidence and development. This is why the Walker scenario, for all its warts, makes the most sense. He is a veteran. He has pitched in big markets and in the postseason. He understands the pressure. He won't be rattled by giving up a 2-run homer in the 2nd inning at Yankee Stadium. He provides a floor of veteran competence, even if his ceiling is currently limited. This move, should it happen, is a clear signal from the front office. It's an admission that the injury situation is critical. It's a pragmatic, low-cost attempt to weather the storm. Walker would not be joining the team to be a hero. He would be joining to be a placeholder, a professional arm tasked with one job: get outs, save the bullpen, and hold the line until Berríos and Bieber are back on the mound at Rogers Center. It's not a glamorous move, but in the harsh reality of a 162-game season, sometimes the most important moves are the ones made out of pure, calculated desperation. If you're enjoying this deep dive analysis into the Blue Jays strategy and want to stay ahead of every roster move, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Drop a like if you think taking a flyer on Walker is the right call, and let me know in the comments what your level of concern is for this starting rotation. Your engagement helps us bring more insider content directly to the heart of the Blue Jays Nation.